Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my September wrap-up. I finished 7 books in the month of September, so let's go ahead and get started with the first one. This one is technically one that I started in August, but I finished it in September, so I'm going to count it for September instead of August. And it is a monster of a book. It is It by Stephen King. Now, I wanted to get this done before the second movie came out, and I accomplished that goal, but it was a heft. So almost everybody knows what it is about. It is about a group of kids that is being terrorized by an evil clown, and when they grow up, they think they've defeated this clown, but it turns out that they haven't. And they are all called back to the town of Derry to defeat this evil clown that terrorized them in their childhood. Now, I gave this book 4 stars. It was a really, really good book. It did take a while to speed up, like actually get into the good stuff. I think it was around page 500. It took me forever to get to page 500. And then after that, I zoomed through the rest of the book. I loved the last half of the book. The ending was a little disappointing. It didn't end exactly how I really wanted it to. But I heard that's a thing where Stephen King's endings aren't that good. This did not help his case. I have a cat. This really did, it depicted friendship very well. The whole group was just, he is really good at setting up characters and setting up a setting and a world that he's like building. He's so good at that. He really just envelops you into the story, and you feel like you're actually there and you're actually experiencing what these characters are going through, and you really connect well with them. So overall, I really did enjoy this book, and I cannot wait to read more from Stephen King. The next book I read after that was, of course, a tiny one. A super tiny one, because that was a monster. This is The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn. Now, I gave this book 3 stars. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I don't know. There's just something, I just didn't like it. It's about this girl who's pretending to be a psychic, and this lady ends up believing that she is a psychic, and she brings her to her house to try to figure out what's going on with her creepy child and her whole house, and it just turns into a mess for this fake psychic. The thing that really got me, it started out so good and I was so enveloped into the story, and then it got to the end and it was disappointing. I don't know what it is with disappointing endings, but I keep getting them. It ended very, like, open-ended for you to interpret yourself, and I just wish that it wasn't like that. I wish that it was a little bit longer, because it was a good story. It really was, and that ending just kind of killed it for me. But I still can't wait to read more of Gillian Flynn's books to see what I think of her longer ones. The next book I read was a book that I was super duper excited for. I won this in a giveaway on Goodreads, and it was an ARC of the book Cursed by Frank Miller and Thomas Wheeler. I loved this. I was so excited to get into it. I gave it 4 stars. And it's about the Lady of the Lake and what if she got the sword instead of Arthur. And this is going to be turned into a Netflix series in the spring of 2020. this had me so enveloped in the story. I loved this. I don't know, everybody who has gotten an arc of it and has read it has not rated it well on Goodreads, and I don't know why. I loved this. It was an adventure, and you were sucked into that adventure, and you just loved the characters that you were reading about. And the only thing that made me give it a 4 stars was the ending. The ending ended at such a cliffhanger, and Goodreads doesn't say that it's supposed to be a series. So if it's not a series, I'm upset because it ended at a cliffhanger. I hate that so much. But overall, this was a great book, and I think it came out on October 1st. So if you have a chance, pick it up, go to your library and read it. I just think it's a good story. It's a good YA fantasy story, and I think that you'll really enjoy it. The next book I read was for Peter Likes Books book club on Goodreads, which is his true crime book club. And this month's pick was My Friend Anna by Rachel Deloche Williams. And this is about the author. This is the author's story about her time with this girl named Anna, who ended up being a fake heiress. She said she had a bunch of money and acted like she had a bunch of money, but in reality she was stealing money from people, including the author, and wasn't getting caught for it. But this was so good. I loved this. I gave this 4 stars as well. You really felt for the author in this. You really did. She went through so much to dealing with this girl, and reading her story is a little heartbreaking because you feel for her and feel what she's going through. She may have been a little naive, but she thought that this girl was her friend, and she ended up getting just the butt end of the deal. She did not get good cards dealt to her in this, but overall it was a really enjoyable and fast read. The next book I read was a book that I was hesitant about and I didn't think I was going to like, but I was proven so wrong because I gave this book 5 stars, and it is The Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul by Douglas Adams. Now, I read this for one of the Caravan book clubs. This was our September pick, and I have never read the first one, but now that I read this one, I want to go back and read the first one. There's 3 books, so I'm going to go back and read the first one and then read the third one. It was about a detective named Dirk Gently, and he is a holistic detective. He's very wacky. He has weird ways of doing things, and altogether this book was so weird. It had Thor and Odin in it, and I loved that. It made this super interesting, and basically what he's investigating is a check-in desk at an airport just suddenly bursts into flames and just disappears, and he's investigating what happened. Yeah, this was great. It is a TV series. I think the BBC made a TV series, and then BBC America made a TV series. And I think the BBC America one is on Hulu, so I'm definitely going to check that out once I've read the rest of the series. The next book I read was for another Caravan book club. It was for another Caravan book club, and this one was Murphy Naper here on YouTube. It was her Caravan book club, and this was another 5-star read for me, and it was Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. Now, a lot of people didn't like this because they don't like detective stories, but I personally love detective stories, so that's probably why I gave this 5 stars. It really got to you. Like I said earlier, King is really good at developing characters and developing worlds and just sucking you into what you're reading. This is about a guy who they call Mr. Mercedes. He drove into a group of people at a job fair using a Mercedes, and it was an unsolved crime. And this follows the retired detective Bill Hodges, who was on the case that many years ago, and it was one of the only cases that he never solved. And he ends up getting a letter from Mr. Mercedes basically taunting him. So he goes out to try to investigate again and figure out who this Mercedes killer was. And it was so good. It was so good. At the end of this book, I was literally up and pacing around my entire house. I could not sit still. The suspense was just building in me. And this is part of a trilogy, so I ordered the next 2 books and they're coming to my house and I'm gonna read them because this was so good. I hope that I am not disappointed by the other 2. My last book that I have was a very disappointing read for me because I was really looking forward to this. I ended up giving it 3 stars, and that was The Whisper Man by Alex North. Now there were some redeeming qualities in this, just a few. That's why I gave it 3 stars and not 2 or 1. But this is about a copycat killer of this original serial killer called the Whisper Man. And basically these detectives are investigating a missing persons case that apparently links to this copycat Whisper Man. And as they're doing that, a new family moves into a house on the same street as where it happened, and the little boy in the family starts hearing whispers at his window. And it basically goes off from there. I know it's a thriller, so I don't want to say too much if you're still interested in reading it. Yeah, this was yeah, it was just disappointing. I don't know if I just maybe wasn't in the mood for it yet, or if just I really wanted to like this. This was one of my most anticipated thrillers of this year, and it just really disappointed me. The story was okay. It was just a meh kind of thriller. But if you are interested in it, I still recommend you go out and read it so you know for yourself. Don't let me influence your opinion, because I may have just not been in the mood for it. I don't know. And that concludes my September wrap-up. If you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and like and subscribe, and if you want to comment, go ahead and comment down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!